Hello, everybody. Welcome to this evening's Planning Advisory and Adjustment Committee meeting. Both our chair, Mr. Severin, and our vice chair, Mr. Levasseur, are unable to attend this evening. So I would ask for a motion to appoint a chair.
I would so move that we appoint Marie-Josée to be our chair this afternoon.
Okay, that's carried then. Thank you. Over to you, MJ.
Thank you, Owen. Thank you, everyone. Good afternoon. This is the Planning Advisory and Adjustment Committee meeting for the City of Pembroke on August 26th, 2025. Before we start the meeting, I would like to read a land acknowledgement from the city. As we gather today, I would respectfully acknowledge on behalf of Council and the community that the City of Pembroke resides on the unceded traditional territory of the Algonquin people. We thank the generations of people who have taken care of this land for thousands of years. It is with this statement that we honor and respect the Algonquins on whose land we reside. And with that, I will call the meeting to order. We haven't had a meeting in July. Any comments or modifications?
Move that we adopt, Madam Chair.
Okay, someone to second? Mr. Mehta? All in favor? So now we go to disclosure of pecuniary interest and general nature thereof. Are there any conflict of interest to be declared for the items of new business tonight?
I'll be declaring a conflict in the matter Z6 2025 231 Cecilia Street.
Okay, so anything else? Then let's move on to new business with the first item, Z6 2025 231 Cecilia Street. Owen, will you be presenting the report?
I'm going to present the report tonight. Okay, so the applicant, Jacob Menard, who's here this evening, has submitted a site plan proposing the construction of a sixplex, that's six dwelling units, on the property currently known as 231 Cecilia Street. Right now, it's a vacant single detached dwelling that was constructed in the 1800s, and he's applying, Mr. Menard would apply for a demolition permit to demolish the building to make way for his proposed new development. The zoning bylaw currently zones this property as R4, which is the highest density that the city has. While this current zoning permits that highest density, such as apartment buildings, it doesn't permit any types of lower density like R1, R2, R3, which would be single families, row houses, or semis. Hence the requirement to downzone 231 Cecilia Street to allow for this sixplex. So the proposed R3-49 zone would be site specific, and it would need relief from a single zone provision, which is the minimum exterior side yard setback. The zoning bylaw requires 20 feet and 17.5 feet would be proposed as per the attached site plan. So as this is the only single item for zone provision relief, the proposed R3-49 zoning can be viewed as in keeping with the intent of the zoning bylaw, and all other applicable zone provisions are met or exceeded. The proposed R3-49 zone is viewed as being compatible in the neighborhood. Within the same block of the property is every density of zoning, residential zoning available in the city, R4, R3, R2, and R1. Generally, the higher densities are found at the northern portion of the block fronting on Pembroke Street East, and then they're gradually transitioning down to R2 and R1 at the south of the property. So the proposed medium density zoning and use can be seen as contributing to this gentle density transition in the neighborhood and contributing to the complete variety of residential zoning that already exists in this area. Regarding parking, zoning bylaw requires 1.5 spaces per dwelling unit. So that means a total of 9 spaces are required. And the site plan shows 8 parking spaces being provided with 3 driveways. As 231 Cecilia is a corner lot, 2 driveways are permitted, one on Cecilia and one on Supple. But for the 3rd driveway, site-specific relief is required to allow for an additional driveway width of 20 feet with a separation of 15 feet instead of the required 25 feet between driveways. 231 Cecilia is designated as residential in the official plan. And the official plan states the city of Pembroke will encourage all forms of residential intensification that creates a potential supply of new housing. Residential intensification will be encouraged in the built-up areas of the city where there is sufficient existing or planned infrastructure to accommodate such development. The proposed zoning is in keeping with this direction in the official plan, as it will allow for residential redevelopment and intensification in an already built-up area with sufficient planned infrastructure. The official plan also promotes efficient and pleasant residential environments and neighborhoods, and shall be maintained to include such facilities as school, parks, local shopping facilities, and a community center. So located within 1 kilometer radius of 231 Cecilia are Highview Public School, Our Lady of Lourdes Elementary School, and Cathedral Catholic Elementary School, the Kinsman Park, Kinsman Pool, Pansy Patch Park, and the Waterfront Park, Carrefour Civic Complex, and there are highway commercial businesses on Pembroke Street East as well as the downtown. So 231 Cecilia is located within 1 block and 50 meters of Pembroke Street East, which is the city's sole arterial road. And as such, this location will provide prime vehicular traffic transportation links throughout the city via Pembroke Street East's connection to Collector Road and local roads. The official plan states that there's a need for pedestrians to be accommodated at service levels appropriate to each type of roads, so far as practical. So pedestrian traffic will be separated from automobile and truck traffic. There are sidewalks that are constructed in this area, and there are sidewalks on both sides of the road, making it easy for pedestrian access to the highway commercial strip along Pembroke Street East. The official plan also states all residential development should be adequately serviced with municipal water and sewer services. So the existing single detached dwelling is located on services. However, the operations department has indicated that this servicing will need to be upsized in capacity for the proposed 6-plex. The requirement of a building permit for the proposed 6-plex will trigger the approval of the operations department to ensure adequate servicing capacity. And the provincial planning statement 2024 states that planning authorities shall provide for an appropriate range and mix of housing options by permitting and facilitating all types of residential intensification and introduction of new housing options, which will result in net increase in residential units. So this new housing would definitely be in keeping, as it would be increasing residential units by providing new housing options. So it would be in keeping with the current provincial planning statement. So the planning department is recommending the approval of the zoning bylaw amendment from an R4 to an R3-49 zone, as the application meets the intents of the zoning bylaw, the official plan, and the provincial planning statement.
Thank you very much, Colleen, for the report. Have we received any communications from citizens regarding this application?
No inquiries nor submissions were received regarding this application.
Okay, thank you. I see that Mr. Amenar is here tonight. Would you like to speak to the application?
I don't have a whole lot to add to it, and so.
That's all fair.
Thank
Thank you. And then I'll turn to the members of the committee for comments and questions. Mr. Jackno?
Thank you, Madam Chair. I'm not against growth or building. I know Mr. Bedard's been here before, and he's got some great plans for the city. My only concern is within the official plan, is there any sensitivity to the maintenance and the retention of historic buildings? I know that in Europe, for example, where there was massive bombing during the Second World War, many countries had rebuilt brick by brick similar buildings that had been destroyed, so that when you looked at them, I've seen them, you know, they were it was just ground zero, and they built them brick by brick to the original status of that historic look. Is there any sensitivity that I just, don't get me wrong, you know, I'm not against building, but I'm saying, you know, we're going to be celebrating our 200th anniversary as a city in a year or two. And we want to maintain some of that historical venue. Is there any sensitivity, like they talk about, you know, a mix of housing, et cetera, but is there any sensitivity to historic sites? The building's 1871. I don't know if that classifies it as a historic building or not.
Through you, Madam Chairperson, this particular building is not designated as a heritage building.
Okay.
The city of Pembroke only has a few buildings, and they're all commercial and institutional buildings, like City Hall, for example, the library, Victoria Hall. So this is not one of them. We do not have an inventory of particular buildings that we would like to see, and we don't have a committee either that we used to have a LACAC, Local Advisory Conservation Authority group, but we don't have that anymore.
Thank you. You know, I'm just saying, if we blanket bomb the whole community with same types of building everywhere, we lose some of our continuity as a historic site. I mean, if you go to New York City, there's old New York where they've maintained part of that. And as you said, our downtown has some heritage look and heritage status. But other than that, I'm for the, I'm for the development. But my question was, perhaps in future, should we be looking at that we maintain some of those without, without trying to tie the owner up, tie his hands up and saying, look, you know, you can have this building, but it's got to be maintained as a historic site. That was my only concern, but otherwise I'd be in favor. That was my question. Thank you. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Madam Chair, I wish that Mr. Giacono would come with me to see that building, because I don't think he would even qualify for.
That answers my
But
question.
anyway,
Thanks.
yeah, I respect what you're saying, but I can see the improvement in that neighborhood. It's going to be really wonderful once that building is gone and a beautiful new building is up. So I will move that we accept the proposal as brought by Mrs. Sorial. Madam Chair, move that we accept the Z6 2025.
And Mr. Giacono will second.
I would second that. Thank you.
Okay, all in favor? I will throw my vote in favor for this. Thank you very much. What are the next steps after tonight for this application?
So the next steps are, it goes to a public meeting of council on September 2nd at 6 o'clock. And then you'll be here, and we'll go through the report again, and only you'll be in front of council. And then once that happens, then we'll get some direction, and the bylaw will be prepared in the next couple of weeks after that.
Thank you very much.
Okay.
Thank you. Mr. Menard?
I don't have to be here on September 2nd, just I'll be out of the country.
Do you have anybody to represent you? that
I
come?
could, if I need somebody here, yes.
It always is a benefit to be here, or to have somebody that represents you, just in case there's a question that comes up that we can't answer. So.
Okay, I'll
It's
see
up-
if somebody's
it's up to you.
available.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you. All right, then we'll move on to the next item of business, Z7 2025, 350 International Drive. Owen, you're presenting the report?
Thank you, Ms. Chair. Our applicant, Catherine Curry of JP2G Consultants, Inc., on behalf of the property owners, has submitted an official plan and zoning bylaw amendments application package for the property that will be known as 350 International Drive. This proposed development consists of a cluster housing development of three-story, 16-unit apartment buildings and one amenity building. This property is currently zoned Economic Enterprise M2 by the zoning bylaw. The M2 zoning, as it's an industrial zoning, does not include any permitted residential uses, hence the requirement for a zoning bylaw amendment to an R4 density to permit a cluster housing development. The proposed site-specific R4-21 special exception zoning is required to allow, again, for this development, but with 4 points of site-specific relief being requested. The first point is relief from standard residential type 4 zone provisions for privacy yards. The requirement is 7.62 meters, and this application is requesting that be reduced to 3.3 meters. Regarding the relief requested, Ms. Curry notes in her report that while the reduction may appear substantial, it is to accommodate barrier-free parking spaces near the entrance to the apartment buildings. The barrier-free spaces are located towards the edge of the building and will not be directly in front of the ground floor windows. In other words, the relief is only required for a small portion of the buildings. So with this sole item of relief from standard R4 provisions being able to be viewed as minor, the proposed zoning can be viewed as being very much in keeping with the intent of the zoning bylaw. The remaining 3 items of relief are from the zoning bylaw's parking regulations. The first for landscaping requirements, the second for parking area location on lot, and the third for outdoor refuse collection areas. So regarding parking regulations, the zoning bylaw requires a total of 1.5 spaces per dwelling unit for the proposed apartment buildings, meaning that a total of 72 parking spaces would be required. The proposal exceeds this requirement by 3, with 75 parking spaces provided. 7 of these are barrier-free spaces, which exceeds the requirement of 3 barrier-free parking spaces in this case. The 3 remaining requested items of relief, again, pertain to parking regulations, and they've been requested with the goal of maximizing the efficient use of the property so as to be able to meet and exceed the zoning bylaw's requirements for number of parking spaces provided. All other applicable parking requirements are met. So with this in view, the proposed zoning can be seen as being in keeping, again, with the intents of the zoning bylaw's parking regulations. The proposed zoning can be viewed as being compatible with the surrounding area, with significant residential zonings and usage on the opposite side of International Drive in both the Johnston Meadows and Gulfview subdivisions. The proposed residential buildings are located on the side of the property closest to these residential zones and uses, and the parking area and amenity building are located closest to the abutting M2 property. This is with the intention of creating a gentle transition between the zonings and uses. Further, the nearest uses in M2 zones are the Pembroke Fire Hall and the future County of Renfrew Paramedic Services building. So these, along with the PEMICE 2 building on the opposite side of Boundary Road, are actually institutional uses that support residential uses, along with supporting the entire city, that are compatible in proximity to residential uses. So as such, the proposed zoning can be viewed as being compatible with the surrounding area. Further regarding compatibility in the area, the zoning bylaw does require a special separation distance between industrial uses and sensitive land uses, such as residential uses. Ms. Curry has provided in her report an analysis of abutting uses. She notes that the nearest industrial use to the property is 320 Boundary Road, which is a Class 1 industrial use, which requires a special separation distance of 70 meters. Ms. Curry notes that a distance of approximately 76 meters exists from this property to the property of the development. So this minimum separation distance is exceeded, and further, any Class 2 or Class 3 industrial uses that are further beyond the development, the separation distances are also exceeded, meaning that, again, this application is compliant with these provisions in the zoning bylaw. Regarding the official plan, the property is currently designated economic enterprise by Schedule A of the official plan. This, according to the official plan, the goal of this designation is to provide opportunities for highway commercial, service commercial, and industrial uses, and to provide an alternative location for uses that are not appropriate to the downtown area. As the proposed development is of a solely residential nature, an amendment to the official plan is also required. The official plan also sets out for the protection of employment areas. According to the plan, employment areas means those areas designated as industrial and economic enterprise intended for clusters of businesses and economic activities. As part of her submission for this application, Ms. Curry has provided a high-level review of employment growth projections against the amount of land within the city that is currently designated as employment areas. And her conclusion is that there is enough employment area designated land to accommodate projected non-residential growth beyond 200 years. So that's well beyond the current planning horizon. Ms. Curry further notes that recent changes to the Planning Act that narrow the emphasis on protecting employment lands and broaden the emphasis on the need for housing, meaning this application is very much in keeping with the new direction of the provincial planning statement. The proposed residential designation would support the full use of the property as residential. According to the official plan, the city of Pembroke will encourage all forms of residential intensification that creates a potential supply of new housing units. Residential intensification will be encouraged. And council's policy is that through intensification of land use in existing areas involving infill redevelopment and conversion of existing buildings, Pembroke will continue to accommodate new residential units within the already built up area. This application is strongly in keeping with this direction in the official plan, as the proposed infill development of the property will contribute to new housing stock in an already built up area with sufficient infrastructure. Regarding vehicular transportation, both within the city as well as beyond city boundaries, Schedule B of the official plan designates all 3 roads that meet around the property. So that's Boundary Road, International Drive, and Upper Ottawa Valley Drive. These are all designated by Schedule B as collector roads. These roads provide easy connections to any other area of the city via their connections to other collector roads. And as well, they provide convenient access to Highway 17 for travel beyond the city. Regarding site plan control, our official plan from 2016 says that site plan control shall apply to all residential developments of a number of lots or units where it is 3 or more. This has been changed. The city has passed bylaw 2023-48 to be in line with the province's direction. And regardless of this, the proposed development is well above the current threshold of 10 dwelling units to trigger site plan control. So as such, site plan control will apply to this development. Regarding municipal water and sewer services, both the official plan and the provincial planning statement support any development that exists that has existing municipal water, sanitary sewer, and storm servicing. These all exist up to the property. The operations department has indicated that they will require further discussions with the developer regarding the servicing of this property. But the requirement of both site plan approval and building permits for the proposed development will trigger the further approval of the operations department to ensure adequate servicing capacity. Regarding the provincial planning statement, as this application proposes residential intensification beside a previously developed area, which would introduce new housing options, particularly a new density, and result in a net increase in residential units, it is absolutely in keeping with the current provincial planning statement. And as such, the planning department is recommending the approval of the official plan and zoning bylaw amendments application for 350 International Drive.
Thank you very much for presenting the report. Were there any submissions regarding this application?
A single informational call was received regarding this application. No submissions were made.
Thank you. And I see that Ms. Curry is here with the applicant. Would you like to speak to the application?
Thank you, Chair, members of council. My name is Catherine Curry. I'm a junior planner with JP2G Consultants. I'm the applicant on this file. Here with me tonight is Mr. Cole Foley of Done Right Construction. JP2G has been retained to assist with the proposed development of 350 International Drive, which the first steps, as Owen mentioned, are the official plan amendment and zoning bylaw amendment. And I'd just like to thank Owen for the detailed overview of the application, He covered it well. I don't have much to add, but I'm going to emphasize a couple points. As Owen mentioned, the development will result in three-story apartment buildings, 16 units each with 48 units total, including 7 accessible units with 7 barrier-free spaces. The site plan will be submitted following these amendments. As we noted in our covering letter, it's the intent of the developer to work with the city to pursue any tax breaks or incentives that might be available to this project. It's also their intention to apply for the CMHC funding through the MLI Select program. And the current concept has been designed with elements that promote housing affordability, environmental sustainability, and inclusive living that align with the provincial and municipal housing priorities. I'm happy to answer any questions. Thank you.
Thank you. I'll turn to the members of the committee for questions or comments. Mr. Giacono?
Go ahead,
Ian?
No real questions. Really, I just want to thank you for bringing this to the city. I mean, 48 units is a great number. We, for any number of reasons, we have obviously the Algonquin College student population, we have the military population. Certainly apartments is something that I believe that we're lacking. So to add 48 new units, I see that there's some bachelors, there's some singles, some doubles. I mean, that's a good mix. You certainly got your money's worth out of JP2G, because this plan, I mean, I could look for a fault and I can't find one. Like this is exactly what the city needs to assist us in our housing population. I got a little nervous when I was like, wait, isn't this up in the industrial park? And then you see that it's right on the edge, and it performs that transitioning that Owen spoke about. So that alleviated that concern when I zeroed in on the property. So job well done to you, and thank you for investing in our community. And hopefully we'll see you back, because this will be such a great success, and you'll have to move on to the next Pembroke project. So I would also move that we accept the recommendation.
Any more comments? But you're seconding the motion? All in favor?
Comment?
Oh, you want to comment?
Yes,
Thank you.
thank you very much for bringing that to the area. I just noticed in the preliminary site plan schematic that you still have not confirmed storm sewer.
I'll do my best. I'm not an engineer, but I'll try to speak to it high level. I do believe our engineers have looked at this preliminary. There was no red flags, but that will all be hashed out at the site plan stage. Really, right now, we're just trying to, in principle, have the development approved. Thank you.
I have another question.
Through you, Chair. Our operations department has indicated that they're willing to work with the applicant in the site plan control process to tweak anything, including the ingress egresses out of the property, so that it will maximize the efficiency on those busy roads.
Thank you. Thank you, Madam Chair.
All right, so we have a motion. Can I have a vote?
Been moved, I believe.
Yes, it's been moved. All in favor? Sorry. Thank you. Carried. Thank you for your time tonight. So this application will be at the next council meeting, I guess?
Yes, this application will also be at the September 2nd public meeting of council. And then at the following council meeting in September, a bylaw would be before council at that point. So we will see Ms. Curry, I believe, on September 2nd.
Okay, thank you. So this matter is closed. We'll move to the next and last item of new business tonight, B3 2025, 1105 Bronx Street. From Blair, and Mr. Jones is online, who is presenting the report tonight. Owen, thank you very much.
Thank you, Ms. Chair. So this is a slightly unusual application. This is the first of its nature that I've dealt with in my time in planning with the city. Mr. Jones has kindly provided a summary that's been included in your reports of the situation and how we got to this point. I'm just going to try to summarize it as best I can, as efficiently as I can, and Mr. Jones can speak more to it after as he wishes. But long story short, this is a severance for 2 lots that already exist as separate lots in several senses. They have individual property identification numbers. They have individual roll numbers. So to most eyes, these are 2 separate lots. However, they are owned by the same property owner, Mr. Mackey. And when Mr. Mackey went to sell one of the lots, it was caught by Mr. Jones that the two lots had both been in Mr. Mackey's name, and under the Planning Act, that means the lots should have been merged. This did not occur, so we're now moving to a consent to sever application. Again, it's an unusual situation, but it is required under the Planning Act. So for these 2 lots, 1105 and 1109 Bronx Street, both the proposed severed and retained lot, they have a frontage of approximately 59.3 feet, a depth of approximately 110 feet, and a lot area of approximately 6,523 square feet. They are both zoned residential type 2 by the zoning bylaw. This zoning will be maintained. 1109 Bronx Street, that's being retained by Mr. Mackey, currently has a single detached dwelling on it, which was constructed in 1953. It is a permitted use. 1105 Bronx Street, the proposed severed property, is currently vacant land, and current R2 provisions would be applicable to any future development once it's sold. So both the proposed severed and proposed retained lots, they both meet and exceed all potential standard R2 zone provisions, including but not limited to minimums for lot area, lot frontage, and lot depth. As such, this application very much meets all applicable requirements of zoning bylaw 2020-05. The official plan designates both properties as residential. This application is absolutely in keeping with the residential designation of the official plan by allowing for future residential infill and intensification in an already built up area of the city with existing infrastructure to accommodate such future development. Both properties are located within 50 meters of Pembroke Street West, the city's sole arterial roadway, designated as such by Schedule B of the official plan. As such, this location will provide for prime vehicular transportation links throughout the city via Pembroke Street West's connections to collector roads and local roads. The official plan, as I've already mentioned, specifies that all residential development shall be adequately serviced with municipal water and sewer services. 1109 Bronx Street is currently serviced with municipal water and sanitary sewer services, and these same services would be available from the roadway to 1105 Bronx Street. Any future development would be subject to a building permit, the application process for which would require the verification of the operations department to ensure adequate capacity. Regarding the provincial planning statement, as this application will support future residential intensification within a previously developed area, introducing new housing options and resulting in a net increase in residential units. The application is absolutely in keeping with the provincial planning statement. In the case of this application, a 5% parkland dedication fee will not apply. because 1105 Bronx Street existed on a previous plan of subdivision. A registered plan of survey will also not be required because 1105 Bronx Street already has a registerable legal description. So the planning department is recommending that the committee approve the consent to sever application for 1105 Bronx Street.
Thank you, Owen. Did we receive any questions or submissions?
No informational inquiries nor submissions were received.
Okay, Mr. Jones, are you available to comment on the application?
Hello, how's everyone doing? Hello?
Now we can hear you. Thank you.
Oh, I can see a picture of myself on the TV. That's funny. In terms of comments, the two properties currently have separate property identifier numbers at the registry office. I'm guessing they have separate tax bills. On the surface, when you look at it, they would appear to be two separate parcels of land already. The catch is that Mr. Mackey ended up, acquiring one parcel, then the second parcel that abuts it. And by virtue of sort of the technicality of the Planning Act, they merged into one parcel of land because neither are whole lots on a plan of subdivision, neither had previous planning consent. But then the interesting thing when I was looking at the file last night that we would not have included in the application, but that jives with everything that Owen said, is I went back and I was looking, well, how were they originally subdivided? And interestingly, the city of Pembroke used to own the entirety of the parcel, and the deeds that created the two separate parcels were actually deeds from the city of Pembroke to two separate individuals to create the two separate holdings in the first place. So they wouldn't have needed planning consent as part of that because the city as a municipality would be exempt from being required to get planning consent. So yeah, the only interesting little twist in all of this is the two parcels were originally created by deeds that came from the city of Pembroke to carve them out from a larger holding. But otherwise, I can ask any questions. But on the surface, anyone looking at this would think it's two separate parcels of land, and only by technicality under the Planning Act have they merged. So now we're just looking to redo what the city of Pembroke, in fact, did decades ago in creating the separate parcels.
Okay, thank you very much. We'll turn to the committee members at this point. Anyone has questions or comments about the application? Mr. Mantha?
It's basically a housekeeping item, Madam Chair. It's almost correcting errors in the past, which were not really errors. They were passed on. The fact that the gentleman owned the two lots, I don't see a problem here. I think we should approve it.
Would you like to move a motion
I'll
to
move
approve
that
them?
we approve it as presented and go from there.
Seconded by Mr. Keel. All in favor? Carried.
Now, does Mr. Jones maybe want to explain to us Section 50 of the Planning Act while he's here?
I'd be happy to if you'd like me to. I don't think you need the explanation, but the Planning Act in general, I think you're jesting with me, but the Planning Act in general.
I was joking, yeah.
Okay. I thought you were testing my expertise, but thanks.
All right, thank you very much. This will also go to council next week? No.
Thank you, Chair. This application, the consent authority for the city of Pembroke rests with this committee. So a decision will be signed this evening. Notice will be sent out tomorrow. There's a 20-day appeal period following that. And at that point, consent is provisionally granted. As we do not have any conditions with this unusual application, we should be able to move very quickly on issuing a certificate of official.
Thank you. All right, so with this, let's move to past decision updates.
I presume I can leave then. Thanks.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Jones.
Thank you, Chair. Our two applications of our last meeting, which was, as we did not have a July meeting, which was June of 2025, two minor variances, one for 440 Maple Avenue and one for 668 Mary Street. Both of these applications successfully passed their 20-day appeal periods and are now considered final.
Thank you for the update. Next meeting is scheduled for Monday, September 22nd, 2025.
Can I ask indulge for an administrative question?
Sure.
So we haven't had one of the, going back to Mr. Jones's application, we haven't had one of these merger situations before where there's two pre-existing lots? Or not very rarely, or very rarely?
They're very rare, and I have done a few over my term, but it's Owen's first time dealing with it.
I'm guessing there's, as far as you're aware, Colleen, are like, the city's never looking for things to merge. Like, we don't have
No.
any properties that we're honestly hoping merge. I'm just wondering if we've ever given thought to delegating that power to you as the director for those kinds of severances when there's literally no conditions, they're pre-existing lots. I'm just thinking if that streamlines things or whatnot. I don't know if that's something this committee would suggest you think about bringing to council or whatnot, but I'm a fan of delegated authority, and that's just one. I mean, this is just one that if this situation came up again, I think you as director or a planner could just as easily approve those and move forward with them. But I'll leave that to you. That was my only administrative comment.
Okay.
That's all right. So next meeting is scheduled for Monday, September 22nd, 2025. Does anyone see a conflict? We're all good. All right. So with this, can I have a motion to adjourn the meeting by Mr. Keel, approved by Mr. Giacono? All in favor? All right. Thank you very much.